NFL season is just around the corner, and every year players have expectations, some high, some low. It doesn't matter. Expectations are literally for everybody. Most of the players will enter the 2024 NFL season expecting to meet high expectations, or we could be discussing where their future lies next, or if they even have a future in some case. Today, we'll discuss 5 players under the most pressure entering the upcoming NFL season. Now, before I go any further, this NFL season will be a very eventful one for the NFL and also me, as over the next couple weeks, I will begin to ramp uploads back up and start uploading more weekly. Hopefully. I say this all the time and they are failing. I say this with my wrestling channel. I say it with everything. I say I'm going to stay consistent, and then guess what? I end up missing a whole couple weeks of uploads when I say this. So I'm going to say this and I'm going to put it in my mind that I am going to do this. But know this, now that I've said it, I'm probably not going to do it. But one of the big reasons why I haven't uploaded in a month, honestly, is because I didn't want to keep uploading content and I ended up getting burned out before the NFL season started. I want to have all the content I can possibly make over the next couple weeks when the NFL season starts. And like I said, I don't want to get burned out and I don't want to have a content burnout. That's the last thing I want to do as a content creator. And that's why I took a break and focused on my wrestling channel. But the preseason and training camps will all be starting over the next couple weeks. So now is probably the best time to start doing uploads again. Now, for some reason, you're still here watching me yap and all that type of nonsense. I'm done. So, before we get into the video, make sure if you haven't yet, you subscribe to my channel and tap the bell icon for future football content. But I'm done enough yabbling now. That's out of the way. Let's jump right into it. First player we're going to discuss is Quinton Johnson. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all, I only put Quinton Johnson on this list because I wanted to avoid putting just all QBs on this list. But in reality, Quinton Johnson does deserve to be up here. No offense. Quinton Johnson was drafted by the Chargers 21st overall in the 2023 NFL Draft. During his rookie year, he caught 38 passes for 431 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, that might seem decent, right? Not terrible, not great, but it's decent for a rookie. But you gotta look deeper into Quinton Johnson's season, into why a lot of people had so much to say about him, and why in reality he's on this list. Now, there were a lot of people that weren't too high on Quinton Johnson coming into the draft. You know, he didn't have the most defined route tree. A lot of people just thought he was, you know, a big receiver, your typical average big receiver who's really not the most athletic. It can't really do much on the field, and that is why a lot of people, you know, after having him you list as the wide 1, wide 2, all these things like that, he started tumbling down the draft boards. And honestly, watching Johnson play on the field did not help us make those allegations even better. Whenever Mike Williams and Keenan Allen got hurt, people expected Johnson to step up, but that would not be the case. Remember, Johnson is a wide receiver. However, he literally could not do the number one thing a wide receiver is supposed to do: catch. Having one of the worst catch rates among qualified NFL wide receivers. If that wasn't bad enough, he also could not run routes that were not go routes. So, like I said before, Quinton Johnson had an all-around problem last season for the Chargers. And honestly, the only thing he was good at was go routes, honestly. So, altogether, Quinton Johnson had a very disappointing rookie year. Now he's going to be entering the 2024 NFL season, where he will most likely be the Chargers' number 1 wide receiver, meaning he'll see a lot of targets come his way this season. However, the other Chargers wide receivers are not guys we should overlook, as Joshua Palmer developed into a nice connection with Justin Herbert when Keenan Allen and Mike Williams got hurt a year prior, and they also drafted speedy wide receiver from Georgia, Ladd McConkey, and they also drafted the son of legendary 49ers wide receiver Brendan Rice. So if Johnson starts to struggle, we could find himself falling off the depth chart pretty fast. Second year players, especially ours, I try to go easy on them and I try to not put so many expectations on him. But for Quinton Johnson, he kind of has to prove everybody wrong, especially after they traded away Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, 2 of their top targets. And honestly, time will tell if Quinton Johnson can prove everybody wrong, prove his doubters wrong, block out the noise. and makes some noise himself, but obviously this is going to be a pivotal year for him. He's going to be playing under one of the tough-nosed head coaches of all time in John Harbaugh, so there's not going to be a lot of room for mistakes, and there's not going to be a lot of room for waiting for him. It's probably going to be next man up with Jim Harbaugh. I know I said John. Nobody sit here and say, oh, you said the wrong name. Yeah, I got it figured out, guys. Don't worry. This next player, I honestly didn't want to put him on this list because I truly believe rookies deserve at least 1 year regardless of what they have around him. But this guy's going to have all the attention around him during the entire NFL season. So coming at number 5, we have Kaleb Williams. Now, Kaleb Williams shouldn't have a lot of pressure on him because he's a rookie, right? You might say, and rookies should get a pass for their first year, right? Well, Kaleb Williams is called a generational quarterback and one of the best quarterback prospects since Andrew Luck. And when you have those type of expectations, people expect the most out of you. I mean, look at Trevor Lawrence. He was called a generational quarterback as well. And people are questioning if he will ever live up to that moniker, seeing as he hasn't quite yet. And for Kaleb Williams, it will be no different as millions of football fans around the world will be watching to see if Kaleb Williams can live up to that hype. And I'm pretty sure there's multiple people waiting to see Kaleb Williams fail. They're waiting for that chance to see him fail to get to him that I told you so moment. And when you have guys like that, you know you're going to have a chip on your shoulder. You're going to have a target on your back. And that's even an understatement. This guy's going to have snipers all around him. The moment he throws an interception, the moment he throws a bad pass, they're going to be waiting like vultures, scouring around a dead animal, waiting to see this man fail. That's how bad it is with Kaleb Williams, honestly. There's guys that call him a diva, a bad teammate, and say things like he doesn't care about football. And some of these were immediately denied by his coaches and disputed. And even during the draft process, they were calling him out for not giving teams medicals. Teams that had no chance at drafting him, and they still called him out. And yeah. So like I said before, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Kaleb Williams from the entire NFL. Now let's ask this. Is the community wrong for giving Kaleb Williams all this pressure? Well, let's look at what the Bears have given Kaleb Williams. They've given this man 3 stud wideouts in DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Romeo Odunze. That might be one of the best trios of wide receivers I've seen in a while. They've legitimately given this man one of the best rookie situations I've ever seen. And he also come in here with a decent offensive line and also a new coordinator. So the Bears have basically laid out everything for Kaleb Williams. So Kaleb Williams, like I said before, the pressure for him to perform this season will be immense. And we'll truly see if he's a generational type quarterback that people hyped him up to be, or if he's just an unfortunate college football phenom that couldn't make it in the pros. For my sake, I hyped him up a lot, so I truly hope he makes it. But I also hope for Bears fans' sake, he succeeds, because my God, they have had the worst luck with quarterbacks I've ever seen since probably the Jets, honestly. Dak Prescott is the next player we'll discuss. Dak has been the Cowboys quarterback since 2016, and statistically, he's been a great quarterback, having multiple seasons where he's had at least 30 touchdowns passing and having a 73-41 regular season record. Now notice I put a lot of emphasis on what he's done in the regular season, right? Because that is what Dak Prescott is. He's been a really good regular season quarterback. However, when it comes playoff time, Dak folds under the bright lights, and I'm sorry to any Dallas fan watching this. Well, actually, not really. You guys are the worst. Oh wait, I'm supposed to remain professional? Sorry. Now here's the stat Cowboys fans will probably not like to hear when it comes to Dak. Dak has a 2-5 record in the playoffs since 2016. 2 of those came against the 49ers, 2 of those came against the Packers, and 1 of those came against the Rams. Now, I do like to say wins are not a quarterback stat, so I would not be completely blaming Dak for a lot of these losses, like against the Packers in 2024. Now, Did Dak Prescott have the best game of that year? No, definitely not, but the defense didn't really do any better in that game either for the most part. But Dak did throw 2 interceptions, and he wasn't exactly on his best day in that game either. But also against the 49ers in 2023 and against the 49ers in 2022, he didn't have the best showing. So like I said, for the most part, the defense for the Cowboys, they were doing their job. But Dak was just not doing his, and he was not on his A game. Dak is currently on the last year of his contract with the Dallas Cowboys, and they've already had a little trouble on deciding whether they want to extend him. Not only is Dak going to be 31 in a few weeks, which will be a deciding factor, albeit not a major one, but the Cowboys are probably putting huge emphasis on his play if the Cowboys make the playoffs and don't make it past the first or probably even the second round. If Dak doesn't show that the Cowboys can win in the playoffs with him and he can show up in the big moment, he could be the starting quarterback for another team come 2025. The pressure for Dak and the Cowboys in general is always there. It's the Cowboys. It's America's team. They're going to always have the people hoping they fail, like me. They're also going to have the whole entire world in general watching them because they're America's team. This is one of the most popular teams in the NFL, and they always have high expectations as fans are always saying it's their year. So, yeah, they always have high expectations, but in 2024 for Dak and the Cowboys, they're going to need to win, or there might be some changes, and Dak Prescott might be one of them, and he's going to have to go all out this year and have one hell of a run. Or the Dak era, just like the Zeke era a couple years ago, may very well come to an end. Well, Zeke came back, but you see exactly what I'm saying. Jerry Jones, he's an old man, and I'm pretty sure he does not want to continue to see Dak Prescott and the Cowboys keep losing all the way to the third round, and I'm pretty sure he's going to lose patience soon. And in 2024, if Dak Prescott doesn't win a playoff game and make it past the second round, it might be time for Jerry Jones to lose patience. So Dak, you better do something this season. The next player we'll discuss, obviously, is going to be really personal for me. As a huge Giants fan, it's practically my job to talk about the Giants. And one guy I have to talk about on a daily, on a weekly, is quarterback Daniel Jones. Whether it's good, and it's not really all the time, honestly, or bad, and it's mostly bad. But when I come to do videos like this, and I'm not on Twitter, all the biases goes out the window, and I just keep it straightforward. And being straightforward is being honest, because let's be honest, Daniel Jones has been given a horrible hand with the New York Giants from day one. A terrible offensive line, and his best weapon to this point was Golden Tate. So when you look at Malik Neighbors, it's like going from a Honda Accord to a Lambo or a Porsche or whatever fancy car you can think of compared to the most basic car ever. Now, Daniel Jones, like I said before, has been given a bad hand. I will agree to that. But some may argue Daniel Jones is just not a very good quarterback. And I happen to be one of those guys that thinks that, honestly. Now, after 2022, I was satisfied with Daniel Jones. Not sold on him being a franchise quarterback, but a competent QB who can get the job done. I was also a huge fan of not paying him anything more than $130 million. Again, I thought he was a competent quarterback, not elite, not a franchise quarterback, but competent. And I saw $140 million plus as top 10 quarterback money. And I made it clear even after 2022, Daniel Jones not a top 10 quarterback, and he was not deserving of that money. But the Giants gave him that money anyway, and that's when I said, you better play like it. And Daniel Jones did not play like that in 2023. Now, once again, was that a product of the offensive line? Probably. Was it also Daniel Jones himself? Yes, definitely was. Now, Daniel Jones being a runner is probably his best asset as a player, but this guy is probably bad at one of the things that he's supposed to be good at, and that's passing. And remember, Daniel Jones is known for his great deep ball in 2021, 2020, but either that was a figment of our imaginations or Daniel Jones just simply forgot how to throw the ball deep, because we have not seen that in years, honestly. Not to mention, he has failed to up his play against some of those upper echelon teams outside the Ravens in 2023 and Saints 2021, and also the playoff game in 2023 against the Minnesota Vikings. But when it comes time to playing teams like the Eagles and the Cowboys, he doesn't show up. He disappears. Not to mention, Daniel Jones has thrown less than 20 touchdown passes since 2020. Like, that is not good at all, and not even close. Now, some of you may not be aware of this, but the Giants attended multiple Drake May's games in 2023, so they pretty much made it clear that they were enamored by him that football season, and they possibly wanted him to be their next quarterback. Unfortunately, the Giants didn't suck enough, but the Patriots did, and they managed to get him. Not only that, in case you haven't watched the Hard Knocks yet, honestly, here's a spoiler. The Giants made it clear that they were all in on Drake May, but they were also interested in getting Jaden Daniels, and that they were both on their radars. So, when you have things like that getting put out, it's pretty obvious that the Giants have Daniel Jones on thin ice. Like, I don't know how more clear it can get. And with Saquon Barkley being gone, it gives Daniel Jones even more pressure on his back. And the Giants have also given Daniel Jones everything he's needed. They've improved the offensive line. They got him a new offensive line coach. And they finally got him a #1 target in Malik Neighbors. So now he has a good set of weapons in Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, and Jalen Hyatt. Honestly, with Daniel Jones, it's now or never for him to finally prove that the Giants, he's their guy. And he can't be their guy in 2024. He's going into his 6th year in the league. Some people should not have this much chances to prove that he's a franchise guy. But Daniel Jones, well, he's one of the rare guys. 2024 is the last straw for Daniel Jones, and I truly believe if he fails this year, it's over. The Daniel Jones era is finally over for the New York Giants, and we could be talking about a Carson Beck, Shedeur Sanders, or Quinn Ewers for the New York Giants as a starting quarterback in 2024. Russell Wilson. Remember when this guy was like an MVP candidate and top 10 quarterback, maybe even top 5? Yeah, we all do. Then he got traded to the Broncos, and it's like an entire 180 happened because his entire run there was a disaster. I mean, his first year, he had Nathaniel Hackett as his head coach, and he was pretty much bad that entire year. And then in his second year, I mean, he was better, but it's not saying much because he somehow lost to a terrible Patriots team and also got benched during that same game versus the team. After paying him all that money and then trading all those picks for him, the Broncos said, we don't care anymore, and they cut him from the team. And the Steelers picked him up and gave him a chance. Initially, we thought he would be competing with Kenny Pickett for the starting job, but then, not too long later, Kenny Pickett got traded to the Eagles, and apparently he was not down to Russ and he didn't want to compete with him, I guess. But then after Pickett got traded, a few weeks later they traded for Justin Fields. So now Russell Wilson has pressure because who he is, but now he has pressure because Justin Fields could easily come in here and take the starting job from Russell Wilson in a heartbeat. And we all know Mike Tomlin, he has no patience for a bad quarterback play. We saw how many times he benched Kenny Pickett. We also saw how many times he benched Trubisky for a bad play. So if Russell Wilson does the same thing, do not be shocked if we see Fields at some point during the 2024 NFL season sooner rather than later. Furthermore, if Russ does end up playing badly this season, this might be the last team willing to give Russ a chance to cook. Meaning that Russell Wilson is also playing for his entire career pretty much this season, honestly. Russ, your kitchen might be closed down this season if you do not have a solid one. And honestly, the health inspector is going to come in there and give you a huge F. So, what was the saying? Broncos country, let's ride. The Steelers catchphrase, whatever it's called, is here we go. So the only thing you better go is up. Or, just like Heinz Field, you're going to be gone. You get what I'm saying? The name is not Heinz Field anymore. You get what I'm saying. In the middle of writing my script for this video, I added one more player to my list. And who was that one player? Well, it was going to be Deshaun Watson, but the Browns are pretty much stuck with this guy no matter what because of his huge deal. So The guy I'm now going to talk about is Aaron Rodgers. It was a nightmare for the Jets in 2023, as on Aaron Rodgers' first drive with the Jets, he ended up tearing his Achilles and missed the rest of the season. He's not going to be coming back in 2024, and now at 40 years old, a lot of people are questioning if Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy, and if he can truly lead the Jets to the playoffs, and if he can truly get back to that same MVP side he once had. Now let me say this because it might not make sense to some of you, but let me explain. For Aaron Rodgers, it's not really a question if he can play. It's the question if he can get on the field and play, because we all know coming back from a torn Achilles is bad enough. But we all know coming back from one at the age of 40 is probably not that easy as it is. No one's really down on Aaron Rodgers if he can play, because we all know he's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he's healthy. But that's the question. Can Aaron Rodgers stay healthy enough for the Jets this season? If he's healthy, he's going to have an offensive line that is improved and one that won't get him killed on the first drive, but he also is going to have weapons in Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and Breece Hall at his disposal, but he's also going to have one of the best defensive in the NFL, led by Quinton Johnson and Sauce Gardner. See, what I'm saying is, Aaron Rodgers needs to find a way to pull the clock back. He needs to tell everybody that I don't care if I'm 40, 42, 43, 44, 45, I can still ball out. I'm still that guy. I'm the same guy who's won MVP back-to-back years. That's what Aaron Rodgers needs to do this season. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers needs to play well, but he obviously needs to stay healthy too, and that's one of the big concerns for me, honestly. And if Aaron Rodgers doesn't do one of those, honestly, the Jets will be asking themselves the same question they ask almost every year at this point. Who's our QB again? The pressure for AR-12 is definitely on. Now I'm going to put a few honorable mentions that didn't quite make the cut, but know that they are under pressure. Evan Neal. The Giants had a lot of hope that he'll become their franchise right tackle. However, 2 seasons in, and Neal had a disaster of a rookie year, and an even worse second year that was filled with terrible play and injuries. Another season like this, and Neal might be done for. T. Higgins. It's looking more and more likely that he will enter the 2024 season without a new contract and will hit free agency in 2025. If that's the case, T is going to have to prove to several teams that he is worth a huge contract and that he's going to have one hell of a season to prove he was the wire-on-one that he said he could be. Tyree Wilson was a 7th overall pick in 2023. He was a highly touted prospect. However, in 2023, he didn't do anything to prove he was that 7th overall pick worthy. And now in 2024, he needs to ball out to prove the haters wrong. Derek Carr, next season he could be cut by the Saints and lose practically nothing. Remember, the Saints have 2 young quarterbacks on their roster in Jake Heener and Spencer Rattler, so they already have multiple QBs already coming in, ready to take Derek Carr's spot. If he doesn't show the Saints front office this season that he can be the quarterback for the next couple years, or if he doesn't, he will make the job so easy for the Saints as they can cut him next season pretty easily. Last guy I talk about, I got a feeling is going to be controversial. But honestly, after what happened in 2024 in the draft, this answer probably would have not been here, but it is. The final guy I'm going to discuss and who I think is under the most pressure this season is going to be Kirk Cousins. Now, during the offseason, the Falcons gave Kirk Cousins a 4-year deal worth $180 million and $100 million guaranteed, with the Atlanta Falcons finally having their best quarterback since Matt Ryan. Yeah, I'm saying that like it was long ago. Don't know why I said it like that. Now, when Kirk Cousins signed that contract, this guy probably thought he had nothing to worry about. Desmond Ridder was not going to stop him, and Taylor Heinicke was not going to stop him. Nobody was. Then the 2024 draft happened. The Falcons shot the entire NFL, and they took Michael Penix Jr. 8th overall. Most people thought the Falcons were probably built up on the defense side of the ball, to a guy like Dallas Turner maybe, but they shocked everyone and did a huge 180. They took a quarterback top 10. Kirk, this leaves an obvious target on his back, because when you draft a quarterback top 10, you obviously have huge plans for him. Maybe not right then, but definitely in the future. For Kirk, that means there can be no slouching. There cannot be too many mishaps, mess-ups, or screw-ups. There might not be enough room for Monday Night Kirk. You have to play perfect almost every chance you get. Maybe not perfect, but at least above average, because now you have a top 10 pick waiting behind you to finally get his chance. And let's be honest, he's probably waiting for you to screw up too to finally get his chance. There should be no reason for this Falcons team not to be a playoffs. You have offensive playmakers everywhere, and you have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. And now you're living one of the best defensive minds in football in Raheem Morris, so your defense obviously should be improved. So Kirk should have no reason not to succeed and be a playoff team with the Falcons this season. If that doesn't happen, we will probably be talking about Michael Penix coming in sooner rather than later. Adding on that huge contract, he's going to have pressure anyway. And if Kirk Cousins screws up a few times, you're going to be hearing those chants. We want Michael. We want Michael. It happens all the time. Kirk Cousins is going to have the pressure of a boulder on his back for the next 17 weeks. And if he cracks at any moment, we'll be hearing Michael Penix going out to throw sooner rather than later. And you have made it to the end of this video. Honestly, this feels like such a weird video to make. I'm still getting back to making long form content like this and talking back in front of my mic. Like I said, it's been a huge long month since I've been making content like this, where I actually make a script and things like that, because I don't do it with a lot of my videos with sports videos. I do, but like I said, it's good to be back doing sports content again. Like I said before in the intro, we're going to be wrapping it up over the next couple weeks, and probably I hope to have a video out a couple days later, in a couple more days. We'll see though. But like I said before, if you made it to the end of this video, make sure if you haven't yet, you subscribe to my channel and tap the bell icon for future sports content. Follow me on all my social medias down below in the description, and I will hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.